gents. So, Shut Up and Play the Hits. It's obviously part concert film, but it's also part interview. And certainly to my mind, there's a very different feel to this than to most concert films. Why? What made you go with that angle?
We sort of always struggled with how to describe it because it is, as you say, in one respect it's a concert film, but it's also this kind of character study of James Murphy. And we always sort of struggled with exactly how to describe the film because it is in part a concert film. It documents, the incredible last show, but it's also a character study of James Murphy, and it also has as its spine this interview that kind of explores the ideas of why James decided to end the band. I think it was key to us that we could have just cut a concert film, but we were really sort of interested in the story. One of the things that attracted us to the film was the fact that they were ending the band in a really calm kind of way, which is the sort of opposite of the cliche of most bands who fall out and there's infighting or drug addiction, or they either that or they carry on endlessly playing concerts and becoming nostalgia acts for themselves. So we were interested in the idea that you would just make that decision, and we were also interested in what it would feel like to make that decision, which is why we anchored some of the story in the day after, because it seemed like after the sort of euphoria of playing that show, an interesting perspective to look at what that would feel like would be the sobriety of the day after, getting back to the mundanity of life, and that was sort of something that interested us.
There's something quite interesting about day after footage as well, because not that I'm suggesting it is, but there is a very stagey feeling to it. It feels cinematic as opposed to documentary.
Yeah, I mean, we were sort of keen for those scenes to feel like scenes from a film, in terms of the way it was shot, and we'd spent a long time getting to know James, so by the time we were filming those scenes, that it was as natural as it could be, sort of having a film crew in your bedroom, or or whatever when you're shaving.
Yeah, I mean, in any documentary there's a sort of amount of artifice. Obviously someone had to let us in that morning. But we talked about how we would shoot it beforehand, and we did talk about it in kind of cinema. The shots were storytelling shots. We wanted to highlight, the patient feeling of the next day, or the mundane feeling of the next day. So we were very deliberate in the way that we covered it.
And just to be horrifically technical, because I'm like that, you shot it on Alexa.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Because that's, from a documentary point of view, with everyone else sort of
stupid,
trying out the little 50Ds and hoping, or 5Ds and hoping for the best. Alexa's a bold move.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that a lot before filming, and the intention was always to try and make something where we hoped that it would have a theatrical release, and we wanted to shoot on film cameras rather than on on a sort of smaller Handycam type format, and I think the sort of the Alexa seemed like the best format for that, definitely, and certainly when we were shooting the concert, I think the way we captured that was it was really important that we used that camera.
The concert, it makes sense. You've got all those rigs, and as I understand it, you had Spike Jonze come in to do some of it, and various other people as sort of your camera ops.
Yeah.
But trying to get those tight, intimate shots with something, it's small by way of cameras, but it's not a massive, not
yeah,
a
but I guess the sort of having a film crew there anyway is sort of is normal, and so we just wanted to shoot on this kind of the best format for that, really.
We wanted to have the ability to choose, the lenses that we wanted. Reed Morano, who's the DP, is absolutely incredible at fitting into small spaces and getting out of the way, and we had the camera built down to its smallest possible size, and I think for us we were really keen that this film had a cinematic quality to it, so that was the kind of reason for the decision.
And on the subject of the concert itself and the sort of achieving the shots you did, because there's a lot of very tight in on the crowd. Was that obviously why, and also how?
there was a very sort of deliberate ethos to the way that we shot the concert. When we got to Madison Square Garden to do a technical recce, Bon Jovi were setting up to shoot a show there, and they had like everything. They had like a dolly that went round the stage 360. They had like 3 techno cranes, and they just had all manner of things that were the exact opposite of how we wanted to capture our show. It was kind of, the whole aim was to sort of create an authentic document as much as possible of being at that show. So it was all about putting the cameras in places that you might actually view the show from if you were there. So in amongst the musicians on stage, in amongst the crowd. And we were more interested in the relationship between the band and the relationship between the audience and the band than we were in getting coverage of the guitar, you know. Or it was more about, you know, having a sort of in-the-moment quality, and if that meant it was a little bit loose at points, then that was all the better. We just wanted it to feel like being at the show, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Cool.